Hey everybody, what is going on? This is Scott Garber back in the saddle of the Profluence Sports Podcast, where we are highlighting founders, investors, executives across the sports business landscape. Today, I'm excited to welcome our next guest, Justin Hoveler, president of US Sport Camps, really focusing in on camps, youth participation, and keeping sports fun. It's not my story to tell. Justin, my man, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Doing great, Scott. Thanks for having me. I'm a big fan of what you guys are doing.
And likewise, my friend, we've been following you guys for a long time. You've been, pioneering the space for nearly 50 years now. And over 5 decades, the space has changed quite a bit, Justin. So excited to go ahead, as we always do. Let's get a chance to get to know you a little bit, who you are, how you ended up at US Sport Camps. And then we're going to unpack this crazy cool camp industry in the middle of the sporting ecosystem. So give us a little insight, Justin. Who are you? How'd you get here?
Yeah. I grew up in this business. This business was started by my dad about 50 years ago. The sport and camps have been a part of my life since my earliest days. So I feel incredibly lucky to continue on in this space. It's the space I'm incredibly passionate about. I played all the sports growing up. I played roller hockey, basketball, soccer, tennis, baseball. I didn't do lacrosse. Flag football wasn't as much of a thing then, unfortunately. But if it had a stick and ball, I was generally playing it. And it was the foundation for my life. Played a couple sports in college. From there, I've been working in sports. I worked for a sports agency right out of college in Chicago, and then been here at US Sports for about 14 years. Love what we do. Love being part of Youth Enrichment Brands, which we created 5 years ago, that has best-in-class brands across multiple youth sports and youth activities. And, it's been a wild but incredible ride to where we're at now. And, as we were talking about, as you shared, in 50 years, like a lot of what got us started 50 years ago is as relevant or even more relevant today. So, yeah. It's an exciting time to be in youth sports for sure.
Absolutely. And I think that, when we sit on our side, there's a lot of new participants, from operators to capital providers. And we're constantly asking ourselves, why are we doing all of this? What is the purpose of this, really rich youth sports ecosystem? And, I'm curious, as we unpack the US Sports brand, how you guys evaluate that. And so, before we sort of dive into that, Justin, give everyone a little context and background on US Sport Camps and the evolution through some really unique partnerships and what you guys currently do today.
Yeah, we work with coaches. We work with what we think are the best coaches in the country to run best-in-class camps. We work with super passionate, driven coaches that have a lot to offer the next generation. And that was our model 50 years ago. It's still our model now. And we support them through various administrative services to make sure that they have a vibrant and healthy camp opportunity in the summertime, especially for college coaches that are focused so intently on winning during the year and recruiting players and putting together premium college sport programs. So, we're incredibly proud of the partners that we have. On the flip side, we connect these coaches that, again, are college coaches or best-in-class skill development coaches and trainers in their markets with aspiring young athletes. And for us, we do it in a bit of a unique and more nuanced way than some of the trends now. We are all about joy. We are all about experimentation of sport. Summertime is a time for exploration. It's a time for sampling. It's a time for figuring out, developing developing passion for sport before committing to a year-long endeavor. And so, again, that concept, that opportunity has been relevant for a long time. And I think even more relevant today, in the day and age of a little bit too much pressure, a little bit too much focus on outcomes, a little bit too much ranking and stats and scores and tables to define success. You go to a camp, you get to play sport, you get to meet kids from other backgrounds, you get out of your comfort zone, you get away from technology, and you just get to be present and play and have fun. And we want you to get better too. So that's what we believe in. We think it's, again, more relevant today than it's ever been, and really, really proud of many of the longstanding partnerships we have across the youth sports landscape.
No, it's really cool. And it's so refreshing as a father of two young children. We were talking about, you being a father now and sort of experiencing this for the first time. Sports was always this amazing playground where I got to learn life's lessons and then bring them back to the house, bring them back to the classroom, bring them back to the things that actually mattered. And I think sometimes we lose sight of that as we think about how do we commercialize this amazing ecosystem. And you guys continue to show up and put that fun and joy at the center and then build around it. And I think there's a lot that we can, as an industry, continue to learn from what you're doing. Justin, I'm curious, because you guys work with colleges, obviously there's a new demand and pressure in the age of name, image, and likeness. How has this evolution impacted U.S. sport camps with the demand from universities to drive more revenue, and then marrying that with your ultimate mission of providing a fun, joyful, inspirational, camp experience? How do you guys balance that?
Yeah, good question. We admittedly haven't gone that far on the NIL path. We're still kind of waiting to see how this is going to play out in terms of how it impacts what we do. We know that coaches, though, are looking for more revenue and opportunities to contribute to players' benefits. And at the same time, you have colleges, universities that are looking for revenue. And so what I look to in particular is facility utilization. And you walk across, like, these college campuses are the crown jewels, I think, of our country. They are incredible sport and academic institutions, learning complexes that, in my view, sit vacant too often. And so in certain ways, we've evolved our model to bring more utilization to college campuses, both in working directly with college coaches and supporting their camps, but then also in certain cases, bringing outside coaches in when the college coach is out recruiting or has a conflict, bringing other coaches in to continue to utilize that facility, create that connection with the community, and offer more opportunities to showcase college sports, the joy of sports, again, to the community and even nationwide in terms of a resident camp. So then I think on the other side of that, there's opportunities to expand the college brand out into the marketplace. We've worked with a couple of coaches who have built camp, additional camp opportunities in neighboring cities or towns, and taking kind of that brand and that passion on the road to reach more markets. So that's been really interesting and really fun to see develop as well in this age of, again, shrinking budgets and a time that requires a little bit more scrappiness than I think we used to have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, look at, like, with your guys' unique position, sort of leveraging universities, but ultimately working in the youth sports world, I'm sure you're exposed to a lot of really unique vantage points, data sets that help shape, ultimately the decisions. But, one of the things that we hear from a debate side quite a bit in the youth sports world is early specialization versus multi-sport development. So with you working with operators and parents and student athletes, I'm curious, where do you see the market trending towards? And how are you guys helping, from an influence lens, sort of push kids one direction or the ecosystem one direction or another? Sort of curious your guys' vantage point on that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big believer at my heart in multi-sport. I lived it. I went to, as I mentioned, I grew up in this business. And so I went to, every different sport camp during the summer, and, believe in the value and opportunity in developing different skills across multiple sports. I think even if you look at individual sports, if you look at Roger Federer, if you look at Ben Shelton, who's now, the second highest ranked American, like, Ben Shelton played, I think, high school football for a long time, and incredible athlete that at the right moment, at the right time, he decided on tennis. But, like, he got to explore other avenues and pursue those interests. And same thing with Federer, arguably the most skilled, elegant tennis player of all time. We probably don't have enough time to get in the Federer Djokovic discussion here, but
Not enough time.
Yeah, I'm partial to Federer. He's a Nike guy, or was a Nike guy also, but, like, he played soccer. He played multiple sports until age 12 or 13, and then said, okay, I'm really, really good at the sport. I should probably just go do that. I think we got to be really, really careful in our ecosystem about forcing kids to make a selection too early. it's, parents need help. It's hard. It's hard to say when all of your friends get wrapped up into a club at age 7 or 8 or 9. It's hard to say no. We're not going to go to that training in the spring, and we're not going to do all those things in the summer, and we're not going to like. It's hard to push back against that inertia and what other kids and friends are doing. So we view camps as the opportunity to explore, to discover, and develop your passion for sport, and it's a 1 week commitment. It's not a season long commitment. It's, hey, how do I feel about this, playing this every day in a structured environment? When I leave at the end of the week, have I gotten better? Do I still feel a joy and passion for this? Most of the times it's yes. And in that case, we think it's a great starting off point to continue to engage throughout the year. I think the problem is, Scott, like, we see so many kids that leave camp high on the experience, with new confidence, with new resilience. And then unfortunately, those kids, there's something that's happening during the year. There's something that's happening. And particularly, as we know, the data shows around 10, 11, 12, where kids are starting to drop out. And so, yeah, we're concerned about that, because we want kids to come back every year, because it's been such a great experience for them. But when they leave camp and then the sports experience doesn't go well, whether it's parental pressure, whether it's other concerns or potential issues, like, we're bummed about that. So we want kids to continue playing, obviously.
But it's interesting, because that, what you just alluded to, is a precursor of the industry, right? And we need participants in order for this to continue to thrive, have a healthier, more engaged society. But there's also a huge commercial vehicle that's being built here with this asset class of sports. And so participation is the key metric in order to keep this wheel spinning and continue to grow and expand. Justin, I'm curious, one of the things that we're hearing from our side is cost, right? Youth sports, we're pulled in so many different directions. It costs so much to be able to go ahead and participate year round and, go to these camps. How do you guys expand access without sacrificing sort of the quality of programs to get more kids to participate? How do you guys think about that internally?
Yeah. Yeah, good question, man. I think you see a lot of the costs come in travel. That's where I see it. You see the costs come in travel and tournament fees. My view is keep sports local for most of our kids. You don't need to go travel across state lines when you're 10, 11, 12 years old. Maybe in the most remote places of our country, I get. But like, let's just keep it local. And that's not a new concept, but I don't think we've done enough on that. In terms of camps, we offer different options. We offer a lot more day camps than we used to. We still believe in the overnight experience as a differentiator, as a incredible lever of growth for the kids that attend at a little bit of an older age. The cost is rising. I think part of this is creating livelihood for incredible coaches and keeping them in this space. There's so much passion, so much to give back around sport and life with the best coaches that, in my view, that's always a worthy investment. The resilience from yeah. That's what we've been doing for forever. And it's, again, supporting a coach that also, has bills to pay and is dealing with changes in the college structure and the athletic department. So, I think optionality and, an emphasis on local opportunities across the esports landscape, but especially in the camp business is one place where we have tried to make this more accessible.
I love it. And I think it's important to be able to find harmony. I don't know that we'll ever find balance, Justin, but we want to continue to open up experiences at multiple levels so that we give the participants options to be able to choose from, right? But I think participation does expand beyond just the elite, and now sending out the signal to folks to be able to participate in those day camps that you alluded to. I think it's super important for the ecosystem and the industry. With that rising demand, Justin, from our Profluence side, we see a ton of innovation happening in the space as well, right? We're getting new technologies, we're getting new modalities that are moving into the space. And so as the youth ecosystem is expanding, talk to me from a US camp perspective, whether it's video analytics, AI tools, recruiting tools. How are you guys leaning into all the innovation that's happening in the space and then presenting that and evolving the product, year over year for your end users?
Yeah, good question. We rely on our partners and our operators at camps a lot of times to implement the right technology for the right player at camp. Again, a lot of our camps are on college campuses where various video tracking and video analytic tools are in place. We have a great partner in Biology that's doing really cool things in basketball.
Yeah.
Really believe in that product, and we're thrilled with that partnership to expose that to more kids, to make it fun and all that, and leverage some of the new technology that we just should be doing all the way around. So Biology is a great partner there. In the past, we've had separate partnerships with Dartfish and tennis, and so, but we just got to a place where, like, hey, our partners are doing this. Our directors are doing this, on their own for their college athletes or for their year-round athletes. And so we're relying on them to really kind of impact this and deferring to them in a lot of ways. I do want to say, Scott, real quick on, and I should have mentioned this, in terms of accessibility, I9 Sports is kind of that accessible option, right?
You beat me to it.
Yeah. Okay. We're going, Stockton to Malone right there. I think it's the perfect antidote right now for kids that want to play in a local, fun environment that's accessible. I mean, I think the average league price is $170 something. So it's a differentiator there. And, it's a sister company, obviously, of U.S. Sports Camps underneath the YEB portfolio. And so we know it well. But beyond that, just a huge believer in what it's doing to keep kids in the game and keep it accessible.
I totally agree. And I was going to go on the I9 side and really start to understand, right? Like, I mean, because there's what you do on the U.S. sports side, right? There's, YEB, which is the parent company. And as we start to put these entities together, I'm curious, how much do you guys work together, right? Like, I mean, because it feels like there's a ton of harmony and synergy as athletes are developing at the local level to open up the horizon to some of these newer, more robust opportunities at the camp level. Give us a little insight to, inside baseball, we'll call it, on how you guys work and like what that relationship looks like.
Yeah. I mean, exchanging notes and thoughts on this space all the time. I mean, I think that's the biggest value is, how do we create better sports experiences for kids and keep them in the game? And there's things on the technical aspect of running business that we're sharing notes on, but at the core, it's how do we provide and up-level our services for our on-site directors, communicators, coordinators, I should say. And what are we seeing in terms of young athlete and parent involvement that we should be aware of and that we can help curve or help grow? In a meaningful way. And so that exchange of information, that exchange of what they're seeing, what we're seeing has been invaluable really since inception. We've been sister partners here for 4+ years now. It's been really cool to see I9 evolve as this best in class, scaled, quality controlled, youth sports operator offering 4 different, sports, I should say seasons a year. I9 was actually really early on the flag thing. Which
Stockton Malone, you're taking it right off my tongue, man. But talk because I think, Justin, this is so relevant, right? There's the traditional sports, but then you have these emerging sports like a flag where it seems blue ocean, similar mechanics, but like there's no legacy to it. So like talk to us around strategy on how you leverage I9 at the local level. And then as now we're watching Nebraska open up a scholar program for flag, how are you guys attacking that with everything that you have in-house under YEB?
Yeah, I mean, there's definite ways that we're talking about connecting the league and camp experience. I give I9 a ton of credit. It was early on that trend. It runs incredible flag programs. It's evolved the product from inception, 10, 15 years ago. The rest of the world's catching on. U.S. Sports was a late adopter, but it has caught up a lot due to the knowledge that I9 has about, best way to operate and support this awesome sport. I mean, I mentioned my 7-year-old to you. He played in the league this spring. A ton of fun and so easy for kids to participate in at a young age. Obviously coming in the Olympics, obviously coming with colleges. I think the NFL is doing amazing things to push this and be on the front edge of evolving the sport and making it more accessible, especially with girls. You see girls' participation rising. Nike's done incredible things with girls' flag also. So it's a really cool time in this sport. I mean, you look at flag, you look at pickleball, right? Like Pickleball's fun too. Very different audience, very different, segment that is fun for it. But you see flag is just this emerging beast because it is so fun. It has so many of the aspects of traditional football, obviously without the contact, but everyone watches football on Saturday or Sunday. And
Absolutely.
now so many more kids have a chance to play it in a way that parents are more approving of for all the obvious reasons. So yeah, it's been really, really fun to be part of this CI9 and develop this thing and then get those key learnings and implement it in what we're doing.
It's so cool. And I think when you're able to find harmony in sister companies, it allows you to make better decisions, right? And like, I'm curious, like we use flag as an example, but we're watching a lot of emerging sports come on the scene and challenger leagues pop up that are starting to infiltrate the collegiate ecosystem. Justin, how do you guys make decisions as to where you steer the ship versus traditional stick and ball versus some of the emerging sports that have niche audiences, but have a real demand for camp infrastructure? How do you guys make those decisions?
Yeah, what comes to mind is 3-on-3 basketball. Right? Unrolled in the Olympics and all that. And 3-on-3 is a great way to play basketball. It is multiple touch. I mean, everyone's touching the ball. One of the issues and challenges with basketball at a young age, especially in a co-ed environment, is girls getting locked out, right? And so, 3-on-3 has evolved and is in the spotlight now as it should be. And so, with us in our games, in our camps, we emphasize 3-on-3. We emphasize multiple touches, making sure the ball gets shared. I mean, nobody likes to play a game where they don't get to touch the ball. I
Not
think
me, at least.
yeah, not me either, man. I was a shooting guard. But I think even like following like Steve Kerr's philosophy with the Warriors when he came and he's like, hey, we're not going to run pick and roll all the time, even though Steph Curry is incredible at pick and roll. Like, we're going to get this offense going where everybody touches the ball and gets to engage and be part of both sides. So I think that's a game that should continue to grow and be emphasized at all levels. The really good esports operators are doing that.
I totally agree. And I think it's really neat to be able to put our money where our mouth is and create equality and opportunities for the boys and the girls, right? And that starts at the men's and women's and then trickles all the way down. And I think this next wave of sport, we're finding continuity, which I think opens up new opportunities. Like, what does co-ed look like in the future? Like, I think there's going to be a lot of really unique expressions that will come from the groundwork that we're laying now and really building out these future ecosystems.
Couldn't agree more. I think that the sports that are evolving and adapting to recent trends, the way people consume information, the way that they want to participate are going to win, right?
Totally agree. Change is the only constant in the world. You just got to be willing to do it. Look at Justin, I got a couple questions for you before we turn the corner and wrap this thing up. We talk so much about the athletes today. There is a huge demand on coaches, on operators that sometimes are the glue that hold this whole thing together that don't get the love. I know you're involved with PCA. I know you're involved with other organizations helping shape what's going on through the coaching lens. How are you leaning in from the U.S. sports side beyond just providing opportunities and helping influence the way that we are coaching our, future generations?
Yeah, we coach, big believers that coaches drive the experience. And so, the coaches that represent our brand are the most important part of our brand. So we vet them seriously. We talk about coaching philosophy. We impart best practices across the board, on the full camp experience, and really try to empower them and take everything off of their plate so that they can just focus on the court, the pool, the gym, the field. That has been the formula, and that will continue to be the formula for hopefully the next 50 years. But the PCA work that you mentioned to me has been incredible in informing my view on coaching. We want to communicate those practices to our parents, frankly. We want to help our coaches. We want to help our parents too. Like, it's hard being a sports parent. It really is.
It's just hard being a parent. End of statement.
Being a parent,
and then it's really hard being a sports parent.
How do you talk to them after a game, which, we all know at this point, like you don't talk to them on our ride home. But how do you address the things that you see in a positive way? How do you make sure that it stays fun for them? How do you bite your tongue? How do you be a good parent on the sideline and celebrate everybody and encourage the right outcomes? I think those are the things that are really, really important for us right now as a society. And we want to do our part to provide more resources for our parents that, are trying to be great parents. The intention is there. It's just not all of them have all the tools. So I think those are ways in which we can probably do a little bit more and want to do more.
I love it. And I think that's an opportunity that just shines down on what sports has the ability to do. It's not just the athlete, it's not just the coach, it's the parent, it's the grandparents, it's the siblings. It truly does touch every generation that's involved with it, and it has the ability to shape society, right? And I think that's what's so incredible about running this podcast is like, Justin, the work that we do has ripple effects far beyond the dollars and cents that we generate for our org. It truly does shape what future generations will look like. And it touches multiple influential points of the journey. And I think it's just so important to highlight and the amazing work that you guys are doing to help shape that. Justin, we're going to turn the corner. I got sort of one more structure question and then one more fun rapid fire question. But look at, the US has a spotlight on it right now. We have World Cup, we have Olympics, we have a generational run coming, but sports is global. How do you guys think about, as we look at the NBA going to Europe, as we watch emerging infrastructure in APAC, like how are you guys thinking about US sport and taking the awesomeness that you've built here domestically and bringing it to the rest of the world to show the experience that you've been able to cultivate? Is that on the roadmap? Is that something you guys are currently doing? Give us a little insight to what that looks like.
Yeah, actually, under the US Sports Camps family of brands, we have a brand called CMT Learning that operates the Nike Euro Sports Camps at these incredible schools. Think Harry Potter, Hogwarts schools south of London, primarily south of London and expanding, that draws kids in from all over the world, from the Middle East and Asia and in South America and all over. It's an incredible opportunity and experience. This CMT Learning also operates camps with Chelsea and Liverpool, and similar model in some ways to what we've been doing in the U.S. for 50 years. And so thrilled to have that connection, offer that to the domestic campers. I mean, it truly is a once in a lifetime opportunity to go to these schools that have been around for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. In fact, we just added a location named Winchester that was founded in 1257 or something around there. It's just, we are another reminder that we are a relatively new country.
Yeah. Humbling, right?
Yeah, totally humbling, but fun to get over there and see that experience and truly offer a global opportunity for kids. So we're building that up, supporting that, expanding that throughout Europe. Again, Nike's been an incredible partner there, as they have been to us here in the U.S.
I love it. It's super cool. And I think that's the exciting piece is, we don't do everything right here in the U.S., but we sure as hell have learned how to commercialize sports. And I think that it's important as we look around the rest of the world, like how do we take what we've done right and marry it with some more traditional infrastructure and continue to evolve what the global sporting market looks like? It's always neat to glean insight there. All right, last question. We've come to it. You talk about having a 7-year-old. You talk about being a 2-sport athlete in college. How are you participating in sport? What are you still doing to stay active? What sport has your attention? What are you playing? Give us a little insight.
That's an easy question. So I played hoops for the first time in 8 years about a month ago and had the time of my life. So if my body can withstand it, I'm going to try to do a little bit more of that. I just signed up for a men's league, and I'm already fearing what that's going to mean for my face and my knees and all that. But we'll see how that goes. And then, what's really fun is padel.
Big time.
Have you played it?
In a big way. Shout out to my man, Marcos Del Pierre, who's at USTA and runs it all. We were just down at Racket X.
Yeah.
Padel is, it is so fun. If you haven't played it, I highly recommend it. Barrier to entry is really low as well. Like you don't have to be some savant to serve it and get the ball going.
Totally. Serve is super easy. You play it off the walls. It takes a little while to figure out the wall. I'm still struggling with that. Being a tennis player, you want to get everything on the air. But, I got a partner who will tell me almost every shot, leave it, take it, leave it, hit it, go, mine, yours. And so that's helpful. But that sport is so fun. That combined with tennis, combined with pickleball, like I'm a racket sports guy, like it's a perfect combo. So actually, I can't say I'm playing that much pickle, but...
I mean, look, I think it's always fun when, when you're working in the space, when you're not sitting on the sideline, right? Now you're getting back into basketball, to racket sports. And, I think that lends a different perspective than just sitting in the boardroom and shaping ideas without actually rolling up the sleeves and doing it. So look at Justin.
Life. Yeah.
What a treat, man. I mean, I feel like I could talk to you forever. From the Profluence team, thank you for what, YEB and youth sports camps are doing, or US sport camps are doing. And I'll let you take us home. Any parting words? If people want to learn how to participate in the camps, want to start coaching, what's the best way to find you? And then we'll send this thing off.
Yeah, appreciate it, Scott. I love what you guys are doing. You're bringing, a voice to the people that I think really care about this space, are passionate about it, concerned with some of the trends, want to be problem solvers for sports and society. That's, you can't talk about one without the other, in my view. Really appreciate what you guys are doing. Yeah, this has been a blast, and yeah, to take us home. I mean, we got summer's coming up for sure. We got a lot of amazing camps and locations and partners that we think will offer a transformative camp experience for kids. I mean, they were for me. I'm some of the proof. So, really appreciate the time here.
Can't wait to follow your guys' continued success. Thank you again for everything you're doing for the industry. We'll be sure to drop links if you want to go ahead and check out U.S. sport camps domestically or abroad. Be sure to check them out. And Justin, we'll follow up with you soon. Have a great day, brother.
Thanks, Scott.